up and you start doing what we trained to do. Otherwise, don't come back to this fucking corner. Do you hear me?
How you doing, everyone? My name is Ryan and this is Ade, and welcome back to another edition of Box Talk. It was a 50-50 fight going in. We had the UK fans, we had the US fans. We had the UK fight, we had the US fighter. Shawn and Kell Brook went at it and came away with a win for Kell Brook. Some say it was close, some say it was controversial, some say it wasn't. Ade, what do you think?
First of all, single barrel Jack Daniels. I want it. End of the month. We've agreed on it. I'll let you off until then.
It's not letting
It's weird though. As we were watching the fight, I was thinking, shit, I'm gonna have to give this guy a single barrel Jack Daniels. But you know what? Kell Brook saved me, and I can't wait to taste that drink.
It's only 12 hours away, so you'll get it in the next couple of days.
Okay, next couple of days. Look, the fight was one of those fights going in that had so many questions. Even beforehand, we'd done the video, and we were kind of like going back and forth in terms of, you know, I'm going back and forth for the right reasons. You're saying Kell Brook hasn't fought anyone in the top 20, which was fact. I was saying that, Porter's, has really been fighting small weights, which was a fact. So both of them had so many questions to prove. Going into the fight, I think in terms of what the media and fans were saying, really and truly, Shawn Porter was the favourite, and it was almost like a 70-30 split. Yeah. And I think that kind of played out for the first 3 or 4 rounds. Shawn Porter definitely done what we thought Shawn Porter was going to do in terms of rushed him, used his strength. But then Kell Brook started to box a bit. Yeah. The decisions on the scorecard and decisions everywhere. I even kind of, before this video, I tweeted out, what has people got the scorecard? Because everyone seems to be going all over the place. Yeah. Some people have Porter by a couple, some people have a draw, some people have Kell by a couple. I asked Doug Fisher, I think he came back at 115, 113 or something.
Yeah, 7 rounds to 5.
It was ringside, so I guess he gets a better perspective of it, but I think everyone had it all over the place.
This is one of those good fights. When you talk about judging, it's a very good fight to watch for judging, because you're talking about, the phrase for judging is subjective. It's what do you like? Do you like the cleaner punching of Kell Brook, which in my opinion, the first 6 rounds was very low, but it was clearly cleaner? Yeah. Or the higher swarming work rate of someone like Porter? The judges will look at different things and see who's being more affected overall and who's controlling overall over those 3 minutes. And like I said, it's down to really your personal opinion. And I scored the fight 7 rounds to 5 for Porter. But in saying that, I scored it, whereas I scored it on Porter being more aggressive and outworking, where Kell Brook was landing the cleaner shots from as early as the 3rd/4th round. But out of the first 5 rounds, I had it 4 rounds to 1 for Kell Brook. And then going further down the fight, it was like a fight of 2 halves. Yeah. After 6 rounds, Kell Brook was landing the cleaner, sharper, better punches. And it happened as Porter slowed down, and got tired.
Yeah, it's weird because we watched it together and I scored it 7-5 to Brook. So, he had a couple of really close rounds, and I can see it's what you like really in those rounds. I mean, what Porter did, which I think they kind of need to look at, and Porter's going to look at, I'm not a trainer, when Porter slowed down, he seemed to catch Brook a lot more. Yeah. When he swarmed Brook, he seemed to swarm himself and swarm in his own punches. And it's like, it was almost too much. Yeah. It was very reminiscent of Maidana Mayweather, but as Porter's work was even more messier than Maidana, I think. It's almost too much. He's almost thinking too much. Too much should I duck underneath and too much should I swarm. Okay. When he slowed down, he seemed to be a lot more better with his punches, but I think Brook landed the crisper punches. I still haven't seen the punch stats, but I would expect Brook to have landed more cleaner punches.
I only watched the fight once, which was live last night. I haven't had the chance to review it, so I'm only going to tell you for what I saw from that period. That might change after I review the fight once or twice. But like you said, the early rounds was all Porter. Rounds 6, 7, 8 were kind of like the transitional rounds, and then the 9, 10, 11, 12 was all Brook, and that's where it was. But it was like Porter's fast and he's athletic, but it's jittery and it's not based on technical acumen. You know what I mean? He kind of jumps in, lunges in. Even when he throws his jab, he kind of doubles. It's not really doubles, kind of doubles it from a long range, so he's not really getting full leverage or full technique on his jab.
Or full power
because he's throwing it from so far, such a distance. But like I said, for me, it was hard. It was a hard fight to score overall because, like, for me, honestly and truly, in the first 4 rounds, I thought Kell Brook was gonna get blown out. He looked so disheartened and so surprised by the way it was going. Even though I think it was in round 3 or round 4, Kell Brook was kind of resting on Porter's shoulder like he was tired or gassed. And I think that was, for me, a good thing for Kell Brook. It shows that he was pressured, he was hurt, he was tired maybe, or not tired, but that second wind, and then kind of kicked it in straight after.
No, yeah, I agree. The fight is one of those ones where, look, it was definitely a fight of 2 halves, as Ryan said. It was first 6, you could make an argument for Porter winning all the first 6. Second 6, like Doug Fisher did, you could make an argument for Kell Brook. So it's almost a case of who stole a round out of that one of those two? Yeah. And I think a lot of people maybe said that Kell Brook maybe stole the fourth or the second or the third. One of those.
I gave Kell Brook the second round.
And Porter maybe didn't steal enough of the between the 6 and 12.
It's kind of funny. I thought Kell Brook stole the second round. Actually, literally stole it. I thought Porter was winning the round comfortably. And I think it was in the last 30 seconds. Kell Brook landed a couple, and Porter kind of stiffed up.
When he kind of went back to his corner,
he put his hands on the ropes and kind of whoa! He kind of tagged me. And that's where I thought he stole it. But again, you could have called it, like you said, a clean sweep for Porter.
One thing I did say on the pre-fight video that we did, I did say that Porter's been fighting a lot of welterweights that really are light welterweights. And it was kind of shown. The way he was able to rush Alexandra Melanagi, he tried that with Brook. And to be fair to Porter, he kind of did do it a little bit, but there was no way near the level. I think that strength of Brook and that size, the frame showed he can't do that to everyone.
When you have that frenetic pace, you need frenetic stamina.
Yeah.
I.e. like a Manny Pacquiao to fight like that
Ridiculous.
for 12 rounds.
Yeah.
Porter fights with that style, but he can only sustain it successfully for about 5 rounds. By round 6, he kind of gets much slower. By round 7, it's non-existent. Round 12, he's just literally walking. If you're going to fight at that style and that pace, you've got to have your fitness up to par. He struggled with the weight because he had to strip down completely, and admittedly he walks around very, very heavy. He walks around about 165, 170.
Which for a guy that's 5'5", that's really bad.
It is really bad.
To walk around at 170 is really, really bad.
Anyone knows anything about training or fitness, you could build stamina, endurance over time. You don't build it over dropping weight quick. It just drains your body, and that's what happened. He just couldn't recover from the weight drop, and I don't know what it is. To fight that pace, and that was your plan, and you were sparring for 12 rounds, it was a terrible plan.
Yeah. Another thing as well, both of them had very, very similar cuts. And the thing with those Kell Brook's team seemed to deal with the cut a lot better.
Yeah.
That cut was kind of kept under control. I think it went in the second, it was a bit in the eye in the third, but then after that, it was fine. Porter had a similar cut, but they didn't seem to be able to deal with that cut at all. It seemed to be going in his eye a lot as well. I don't know if that played a part, but I guess blood trickling into your eye, it kind of can put you off a bit. I don't know if that had any impact on the fight at all, but I just feel like Brook's corner was a lot more calmer than Porter's corner, and I don't know if that played a part.
Moving forward, what angles now do you see for Kell Brook and Porter? Because as much as this fight answers questions, there are still a lot of unanswered questions for both fighters.
There is. I mean, I tweeted, and I was going back and forth with a guy, I think, N Love, and I love his tweets, but I was trying to say that, personally, and we was watching that fight, I was like, why on earth would anyone fight Porter? Yeah. Not because Porter's not a draw, and that's kind of what I was trying to go back and forth with. Porter is definitely a draw, but Porter... doesn't really bring money to the table. There were 3,000 people there yesterday. And 3 world title fights plus Deontay Wilder. There's only 3,000. That's one. You know what I mean? We get that at York Hall. Do you know what I mean? For a little prize fighter. Do you know what I mean? So Porter's not a draw there. He's not got a belt either. If I'm a top 10 welterweight, I'm staying clear. I don't even want to get any part of that. That's what I was trying to explain.
Brook is a good puncher. And even though Brook, I think, stiffed his legs a couple of times, he didn't actually rock him. Which means Porter has got a decent chin.
Definitely.
Even when he was
a big guy.
Even when he was tired and you think he's tired now, he's falling into shots, he's going to stumble, he didn't stumble. So unless you really put him out, unless you can handle that hard work rate for those first 5 or 6 rounds, it's going to be a problem. If he slows that rate down, increases his stamina and fights at, say, still going at 100%, fights at that 80% pace, he could be hell for 12 rounds. Yeah, look, after the fight, obviously the name that was in the studio, the name that everyone's been mentioned, floating on Twitter, everyone was Amir Khan. I kind of tweeted, yeah, it's a good fight, but it's almost a fight where you can let it build a bit now. I said, I think Brook's got an unfinished business with Devin Alexander. I think that's a good fight. Devin Alexander's a good boxer, but you almost will be looking at in terms of, they both had now the same opposition in terms of Porter and seeing how that works out. But I think, get him, they're talking about him fighting in Sheffield. Bring him back to the States. Let him build his profile in the States. There's no bigger name, unfortunately, in place than the States. The 147 division is dominated by all US fighters.
All US
Even
fighters.
Amir Khan's a UK fighter, but it's based in the States. You know, you have to base it over there. One thing I'll say about Kell Brook in this fight, one, I give him credit for winning the fight. Even though I don't think he won it, it was a very good fight. I give him credit for sticking in it and boxing a very smart fight late in the fight. But I will say that I was very disappointed with his punch selection. Especially earlier on the first 5, 6 rounds, he was sticking with just straight shots. There was no hooks, no uppercuts, no inside work, and then he worked on it later. Was that due, do you think, to Porter's pressure? Because if Porter's pressuring and he's right in front of you, you should have to get off more shots. He seemed more content of backing off and throwing single straight shots, which I thought he needs to develop that more at the higher level.
I mean, we were kind of going back and forth while watching the fight, and we were kind of saying the same thing. And at the time, I didn't agree with you, but watching it again, as I did, I watched it this morning, Porter's relentlessness, it was almost, we say Manny Pacquiao, it was almost worse than that. It was non-stop. Pacquiao's almost very wiry and slim. Porter probably come to the ring at about 160, maybe even a bit more.
Yeah.
And when that just is coming at you relentlessly, especially when this is, as we've all said, this is his biggest fight since Shevchenko. I mean, the levels between Shevchenko and Porter are, light and day. So I think in his mind, he had to almost, for the first 4 or 5 rounds, it was getting used to A, being in a world title fight. B, being in against someone that is way levels above anything you fought before. And I think it took him a few rounds to adjust. And when he did, he let off a few more. But you're right, I was still disappointed. There was no combinations. I mean, you say punch selection, there was 0 combinations. I think 2 or 3 punch combinations at best. I don't think anything more than that.
All those came after round 7, round 8. I think when we were actually arguing, he threw like his first real left hook, right hook combination. We were like, wow, he done it.
One thing I will say is that we've always, one thing that's been questioned about Brook a lot is his stamina. And out of the 2, Brook seemed easily able to go a couple more than Porter.
Well, Brook said previously after the Carson Jones fight that he got a dietitian and he got a strength conditioning coach. So, but he's never fought no one. Or he's never been tested enough to see if those things actually worked. Now we know it does work.
Okay, so what for Brook? What do you think next?
I think Kell Brook's in a good situation. He's got a big promoter over here, the biggest promoter over in England. He's
probably the biggest in Europe.
It's
close, but
it's close.
Getting there now.
He's in a good position. I just hope that with the division so stacked, they don't keep him stale and keep him over here fighting domestic level, European level. The division's really, really good. Kell's proved he's got the skill set now. Even though he's got companies to work on, in my opinion, he's proved he's got what he wants. Go out there and challenge the rest of the guys in the division. Challenge your peers and can see, are you really the best? Yeah,
because, I mean, there's a couple of names floating on Twitter, like Bundu, the guy beat Frankie Kevin. I don't want that. And there's no disrespect. Bundu's a great fighter.
He's a good fighter.
The top 10 in that welterweight division is so big right now. Even guys just below the top 10, I wouldn't mind him taking on. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't mind if he said, okay, next fight, Jose Santos Carras. So I wouldn't mind a name like that. Do you know what I mean? Stay within that mix.
That's not bad. But now you're a world title and you're there, why can't you fight a Bradley? Why can't you fight a Pacquiao? Why can't you fight a Thurman? Why? There's guys out there for you to fight. There's options out there. I mean, even going backwards, you could fight a Devin Alexander or a Malignaggi, guys that he was supposed to fight. Those are still top 10 guys.
Good money fights as well.
Those are top 10 guys. That's what you have. Kell Brook has also fought at 154 now. I'm trying to say, if you can't get one of these guys to get in the ring right now, have an interim fight, a catch weight at 150. Even though I'm not a fan of them, if it makes business sense as the other guys are tied up, there you go. In my opinion, I don't think people expecting Brook to win. So people might have other things set up already.
Needs to get out again before the end of the year. December, or is it too late? Is it too late?
He should. I think he should. If the cut heals well, he should get out before the end of the year.
Okay, what happens to Porter very quickly?
Porter got back to the drawing board. He needs to work on his technique. He needs to work on his stamina. He needs to work on his starting up game set. Because like I said, that 100 mile per hour thing, unless you've got the fitness and skill to carry it, it's not working. Especially with Porter, he wings his punches so wide, he's wasting so much energy starting here when you can actually start from here. You know?
I guess the good thing for Porter very quickly is that Porter will look at that performance and think it was a bad performance, but in his eyes, he still thinks he won the fight anyway. So he might look at it in terms of a positive and think, there's so much I did wrong, but in my eyes, I still won the fight.
You know, he thinks he won the fight. Like I said, realistically, everyone seems to have it realistically 1 round apiece either way. If it was a draw, who would have complained?
No, we were shouting for a draw. Like me and Charlie, the guy that was watching the fight of us, was shouting like, that's a draw.
Yeah, it's a draw.
Yeah, Dave Parrish. The British judge gave it 140 and 140. The British judge.
Like, even the British Sky team, they didn't have him winning either. They were kind of on the line. Even Ryan Rose's friend had it a draw as well. So, you know, it's one of those fights there was, everyone can make the argument. Kell won, no complaints. But, you know, either way, by 1 round or a draw, it would have been even either way.
Right, very quickly, 1 minute. Beaker Darrell. Darrell, obviously the new champion at super middleweight. Names like Groves and DeGale being linked to him. Beaker, we kind of did say it would go that way. This was maybe a step too far for Beaker. Age, every boxing skills were awful, but we won't go into that right now. What's that Darrell got? Possible Groves opponent in the future?
Yes. I reckon Beaker's one of those guys who kind of a spoiler. He makes everyone look bad, so I don't think anyone should take anything away from Darrell for winning. Only the top guys in the division beat Beaker, so that makes Darrell a top guy. Is he as good as his brother? I don't think so. Can he beat Groves? Potentially, but I think we need to see another. I think Darrell should have one more fight.
It's just good that another young name's in that mix, though.
Darrell needs one more fight against one of his peers to see what he's really got. Against Beaker, it's hard to gauge anyone on their skill set. Okay,
there you go, guys. Look, we've had another. Again, we're in sport for 2014. 2013 was massive, but I think 2014 so far, to me, is definitely taking it. And this was the fight that a lot of people were looking forward to. I mean, a couple weeks before the fight, there was even injury rumours, there were drug rumours, everything was going for this fight, and finally it happened. And look, it was a close decision. Regardless if you think Brook won or Brook lost, I think it showed that Brook does belong on that table now. And that's what I was going to ask him. Does he belong at that kind of top table welterweights, i.e. the top 10? He does. Is he number 2, 3, 4? Probably not, but we know he's definitely now sort of in the top 10. Not many people go from Britain to England and take the title off the guy in their hometown or there in terms of America. So look, let's give him his plaudits. What next for Brook? What next for Porter? Brook Khan straight away? It was maybe Alexandra or Guerrero or someone else like a Furman get involved first. Leave your comments below. Email us at
boxtalk@hotmail.co.uk, and don't forget to follow us on at Twitter at boxtalkuk.
Also, guys, don't forget to subscribe and also check out ringnews24.com for all your latest news on boxing and our videos as well.